Hey, Montre, I've been meaning to ask like one thing more than I guess I'm more than curious because it used to be majorly here, especially in the Bible Belt here down in the South, that you know, for a white person, if you even had friends that were black, you could even be completely ostracized from your family. Now, I've seen a little bit of that, from an outsider's point of view when it comes to, I guess, the black community. But do you have the same issues, like, seriously, like, to where if you even have friends or relations or anything with like, say, white people or Mexicans, or do you get...
No, I don't think it's that serious of an issue, at least with African Americans, because, I mean, we live around white people 24/7, so having friends, I mean, you can't really live in this world without having a white friend or a Latino friend, something like that. There can be some issues when you do get in a relationship. It's I'm not so much, if the person's white or whatever, but because I dated a few white people, and it's just like I get questions, and they're like, oh, well, okay, why? But I don't think it's ever an ostracized. I don't ever get ostracized for doing it. It's just I get questioned, and people want to know my intentions, and so. That's
I remember being around, like, back in high school, when I was working at McDonald's, I used to, there were a lot of Crips around, of course, and I used to not be able to go up to work to even get my paycheck if I had anything that was red on. And being at Skyline, we were red and blue, so...
I know, right? Yeah.
It was the worst thing that you could do. And I remember, like, going out to, like, some apartments with some of the other people anyways, but I was always being chased off, and like, the guys, so it was a little skinny, little white blonde girl, I was always being chased off, and they were always being yelled at, so I wasn't sure if it was still the case, or if maybe it was just because I was too young, or, it was, it's been a while since I've encountered that,
you're
but...
just a little young blonde, so,
Yeah, it was before the blue, so...
Yeah, I tried to stay away from all the gang activity, and oh goodness, I don't know how successful I was at that. I still try to stay away from it, even as an older guy. But that's a whole other issue in itself, right there. It's the gangs here in Dallas, or the wannabe gangs. I don't really have a problem.
Exactly.
I don't really have a problem with young people wanting to be in groups.
Part of something,
as I would call them. Yeah, a part of something. I think that's good. I think it's positive to feel like you have family or to congregate together. I don't think there's any problem with gangs. I think there's a problem when they decide, like, oh, we're going to terrorize a neighborhood, and that's what I call local terrorism. You can't do that, And I don't, like I said, I've talked to a few young people that are in gangs, but it's cool that that's my friends. Oh, that's cool. Those are your brothers. I was in a fraternity in college. How is that different? It's not too much, but, yeah.
Same with the secret societies that are trying to exert control, so.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, and if you think about it, it trickles on down to our even local gangs, of, having control, and by what means are they trying to use that control? Fear.
Exactly. Fear is the opposite of love, and not hate. Hate is still a strong emotion. You can still love someone and hate them, and think that's something that we're used to confuse. The opposite of love, in my opinion, is plain and simply not giving a shit. So, because if you don't care, then,
I think probably just gangs are just a part of our society. That's a product of our society. And so the worst things are...
Maybe if we were loving humans again and actually talked to each other and communicated and were family instead of shoving kids in front of the TV as soon as they get home and no interaction, maybe that wouldn't be necessary anymore, because we'd actually get attention from our parents and our siblings, our extended community, and then gangs and so forth wouldn't be necessary. But
they wouldn't be necessary. Yeah, you're right.
Because people are seeking that same thing they're missing.
Yeah, exactly. They're seeking acceptance. They're seeking to be a part of something, and that means that they don't feel like they're a part of something. They feel lost, and so that's why you have so many of these young people, in the urban community, who are looking for something. They're searching for something because society's swept them to the side and they don't have a place for them yet. you know. Because, like I said, you have to fit that mold. Right on our topic, you have to fit that mold, and if you don't fit that mold, then you fall through the cracks. And so these
it used to be we did our dress and our hair when we were in school, and then they took away bandanas because a certain color was gang, and now it's like what was schools now? It's if you tuck your shirt a certain way, they're saying no, that's gang related too. It's like, come on, you don't let people be people.
Anything could be gang related if you think about it. It's just kids putting a symbolism to something, you know. So anything can be gang related. So it's just that they keep taking away stuff until you don't have anything at all. It's like, okay.
So what do you find like in California? Are people like as I guess church-going as they are here? I mean, 'cause especially for the black community, man, the churches are so lively and everybody goes to church. That's a big deal. Sunday, you don't do anything else on Sundays. I mean, you know, but that's here.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually loved it in California because here in Texas, you find a church every 4 blocks, every 2 blocks, right? There's churches, but you know they are, you know. It's not that they're hard to find. They're just around, and there's more than just Christians there, which I love. You know, you get to learn about so many different types of religions. Everybody has everything. You know, there's all types. I mean, Christians don't run at least the major cities. You know, like Los Angeles, Christians don't run Los Angeles. You have Christians, but you also have Muslims, and you also have Buddhists, and you have Hindus and Hare Krishnas, and you know, they express themselves just as adamantly as Christians would. You know, they will share their faith with you, and they will talk to you. And I love it. I was like, wow, I learned so much about religions and how many different other types of people there are in this world outside of Christians. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. You know, I got to see a lot of diversity, and that's what the big word was. There aren't, like I said, churches are not, aren't like everywhere, which is great. I enjoyed that because here, I think sometimes people use it as a job, you know. I think people are like, well, I can't find a job, so I'm going to start a church, you know. I really think because it's tax-free, you know, and I think people will just start their little storefront church and get their friends to go just so they can have a job. So that's my personal opinion about that. But I think there's a different level there. I think people are very spiritual in California versus what I was told before I left. Because when I was like, I'm going to move to California, I had a lot of friends tell me, like, oh, you don't want to go there because there's nothing but heathens there. You know, they do all kinds of things in California. I'm like, okay. And then when I go there, you find some of the most spiritual people. And, yeah, they smoke weed, and, yeah, they look different.
That's like religion, the laws that tend to limit one's mind. I always said that travel is like one of the best things anybody can do because you actually get experience with new people, new points of view, and it can actually expand your mind and get you out of the... That's the only thing about being here. I mean, Southern Baptists are really bad, and then you got the Catholics everywhere, too. And they're both like, you got to do this or you're going to hell. It's all like so evil and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And that's not the way things need to be. It's about love and community and being a part of each other in this world. And that's how you learn. If you're only stuck within your own group or within one state, one city. I've known people that haven't left their whole one city in their entire life. It's amazing. But you never...
It is amazing. I think it's necessary for people to actually get out their box and see how other people live. I think it's very necessary.
Maybe there was a reason we were once nomads and following the game herds as opposed to traveling. It lets you learn things around you, and I don't know. It's something that's seriously missing.
Well, with the growth of the internet, I think it's allowed people to see how other people live in the privacy of their own home, which is good. That's the good part of the internet. And hopefully as the internet grows and evolves into whatever it's turning into, we'll see more of that. We'll see people become more vocal, you know, because we're approaching the age of Aquarius and everything, and that's all about new technology and coming together as a community.
Imagination and everything. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and thinking outside of the box, you know, getting out of your box. That's what Aquarius is about. So as we
And
approach
technically
that
we're in the
Aquarius
middle
stage.
age. We're not technically in an age right now. I don't know if people are really aware of that. There's a time frame between ages where we're not really existing in either age, and that's where we are now. That's why this whole world's in upheaval, because it's a chance to actually make the world the way we want it.
We're kind of at that 0 point right now.
Yeah.
I think, and that 0 point is very difficult, you know, where there's not a
every
particular
creation,
energy.
there still has to be a destruction, and people don't seem to realize those things go hand in hand. So,
you know, and I was, you know, I'm big on astrology. You know that, and I had heard from a friend that Texas is a Capricorn, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what you know about what's going on with Capricorn right now. That Pluto, the planet Pluto, which is the planet of death and rebirth and destruction and rebirth. You know, it is going through Capricorn. So a lot of Capricorns are going through changes. That's the Capricorn people, but that's also including Texas. So I predict in the next few years we're going to see a lot of changes with Texas. Texas is going to have to revamp a lot of things it does just to keep up with time, because Texas
has at least 2 major points on the ley lines. There's a lot of natural energy that flows from the earth. And no matter what people believe, especially when it comes to astrology, because I know a lot of listeners here are extremely religious and they think that that's whatever, you know. But seriously, we're all connected to everything, and that's why it's not that that we're influenced by the planets. It's more or less planets are influenced by us, and it's the exact opposite of what people think. That's the only reason why this world is here for us to experience, and that's important. And it's the opposite of what we're taught. We're more powerful and more special than the government or any religion will have you believe. And if we can come into our own and realize how wonderful we are and maybe experience our creativity in the outward life, that, wow, this could be an amazing place, couldn't it?
Yeah, it will. It will be. And for people, you know, the first step is people have to step outside of their fear. And that's the one thing that I noticed when I moved back here, is that we have so many people that are stuck in fear, and they're afraid for whatever reason. For whatever reason, they are afraid to step outside that box. They're afraid to speak their mind because they are fearful of what their friends are going to say. They're fearful of what their society is going to say. What is their family going to say? What's going to happen on my job? And all these fears come up in their head, and that intimidates them from being who they are. That intimidates them from saying hi to that person or deciding to do something different. You know, and if we continue to do the same thing every day, we get the same results. So, I mean, I really encourage anybody, every listener, every person, to just kind of to combat that fear. Fill yourself up with love and say, you know what, I'm going to let love motivate me and not fear, because that's the proper energy to work off of. If you feel like, oh, I'm not going to do this because I'm afraid, if that's the first thought in your mind, I don't want to do that because I'm scared that fill in the blank.
Yeah, people are afraid to break down their life because they know that once you realize that part of what you've been taught and your whole basis of life is based on lies and deceit, it's really hard to get over that, and people don't realize that. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, because nothing in life worthwhile is easy. That's just, we're so instant gratification people that we fail to realize that the best things in life are things that you work for and that you do yourself. When you work the land, when you build your things, then you feel that it's yours. It's like cooking food, you know. Nobody cooks food the way you want to when you go somewhere else. You're always slightly disappointed because it's not just quite right. So why not just do it yourself? You know, it's really hard to break down your life, but that's necessary for you to build up what's loving and right, you know. And it's really hard to let go of the fact that maybe you were lied to as kids. So I mean, look how long people believed in Santa Claus, you know. And that is like one of the worst things people can ever do. Can you imagine? You have to tell your kids when they reach a certain age that you lied to them their whole life, you know. How is that a good thing?
I was in shock when I realized Santa Claus wasn't real. I was.
Really?